Hello there, and welcome back to the Cinema Asylum Review Award, where today we will be discussing Dune Part 2. I'm Dylan. I am one of the two superhero and sci-fi experts.
I am John Thompson. I am the action and animation expert.
I am Garrett Russell, and currently I am the drama and indie film expert. I would love to be horror, but I'm going to let Paul here take that. Yep.
Well, without further ado, I'm Paul Allen, the horror expert.
I am Matthew, the other superhero and sci-fi expert.
Before we get started today, we do want to say that we have a very important video that's currently up on our YouTube channel. Just in case you haven't seen it, we would ask that you go over there and watch it. It's extremely important, but we won't say exactly what it is. Just please go check it out.
Please
it's
do.
very necessary.
Absolutely.
So yeah, we watched Dune this week.
Yeah, and it kicked ass.
Finally came out after months and months of waiting.
Yes.
Multiple delays.
Hollywood imploding on itself last week.
Which we will not get to that because that was so long ago.
That felt like
forever.
A year.
Yeah.
Yeah, it felt like
It was
forever.
like what? It was like 4 months because it's.
I think it was 6
because
with the writers.
The writers started in May, I remember. Went up all until
October, I think. Yeah.
And then the actors went from July to November.
Yeah.
So it was just
It felt like forever.
half a year at least.
Yeah.
I'm glad it's over finally.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank goodness.
Yeah. So Matthew and I, we went.
John, you're still really loud.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Keep talking.
Okay.
Dang,
yeah.
John.
So. and there,
Dylan.
and there you go. We're just being goofy. Okay. So yeah, Matthew and I, we went to go see Dune Part 2 on Friday night, and I think Matthew was a little more excited than me, even though I was so excited for this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, big excitement. I was so glad that I rewatched it before I went to see the sequel.
I don't know if I'm excited.
Yeah, I can't tell.
But yeah, we have so much to discuss. Now, before we talk about it, spoilers, of course.
Obviously.
Yeah. And if you have not seen Dune Part 2, shame on you. You should watch the movie first and then come back and hear our thoughts on it. That would be the best idea for it. Don't you think so?
Yeah, 100%. Pause right now and go watch it if you haven't.
Absolutely.
I've been waiting to talk about this movie since last Sunday when I saw the early screening of it.
Ooh, let's go.
So I've been waiting to talk about this shit with like people that actually love it as much as I do. So,
If they haven't seen it yet, they should go see it or stick their head in the sand of Arrakis to avoid the spoilers.
That would be the best idea.
get killed by Austin Butler in this movie violently.
I would actually be okay with that, shockingly.
Yeah.
Did you hear
I mean,
about
have you seen Austin Butler in this movie? Holy fuck.
Did you see about the Elvis thing?
Which one?
The accent thing?
Yeah, apparently he had went so far into method acting for Elvis, he had said some
Yeah.
lines of Fade as Elvis, and they had to cut it out.
I mean, because that was one of my biggest mysteries with this movie, aside from like a bunch of other stuff with the plot. Because I haven't read the book or Dune Messiah, which
Neither have I.
this movie Dune Part 2 is the second half of the novel. The Dune Part 1 was only the first half.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think that was the best way to go with this because, there was another Dune movie that came out in
84.
1984
Oh, boy.
by David Lynch, which has a cult following.
Yeah,
And there's certainly a lot of stuff to like about it. I personally am not a fan of that version because aside from a lot of the kind of outdated special effects and the over-the-top acting, it really does rush. After rewatching Dune Part 1 recently and watching this one, it really does kind of show how fast and how rushed the original Dune was in 1984. So it was great that they really let the story flesh out.
I'm curious to see how the miniseries, because I found that at work. It's like 4.5 hours.
On HBO?
No, it was like a DVD I found at work.
Oh yeah, there was a miniseries.
From 2000, yeah. I haven't watched that yet,
either.
but I'm curious to see how that is.
Yeah, but what I was going to tell you, after watching those Dune movies, I refuse to watch the Dune 1984 because that's going to be like a very poor comparison to the 21st century.
It is.
So
I watched because Dune Part 1 came out 3 years ago in 2021, and I watched that one first. I never did see Dune 1984, and then shortly after I watched 2021 Dune Part 1, I went back and watched 1984.
And you're like, what did I do?
It is. Remember the scene in Part 1 where Paul Atreides is fighting Josh Brolin's character? They're training.
Gurney.
Gurney, and they're fighting with that armor thing. I forget what it's called.
It's a shield.
The shield armor.
It looks like a block.
In the original, it looks like they're like neon Legos fighting.
Yeah, it's just like polygons.
No.
That's all it is.
It's so crazy when like going from 2021 in its gorgeous special effects to 1984.
6 Oscar-winning special effects.
Yeah, exactly. It's insane.
That might have been a mistake. Maybe you probably should have watched the 84 version before the 2021 version.
It was fascinating though. There's a lot I admire about the 1984 Dune, but I overall don't think it's a good movie by several means.
Did you see the theatrical or the extended cut?
I watched I don't know which version is on HBO Max.
Probably the theatrical.
Yeah,
it probably is.
That's probably the version.
I did not know there was a director's cut.
Yeah,
I did
there
not
is.
know.
Oh yeah.
There is a director's cut. It's like 45 minutes longer.
Oh yeah.
So I guess it's much better than the theatrical version, but that's not really
I'd say
saying much,
so,
I
yeah.
guess.
Even so, because combine the running times for Dune Part 1 and Dune Part 2 is about close to 6 hours. So
Yeah, it's like 5.5. Yeah.
I don't think a 2.5-hour movie can compete with 6 hours of
Right.
story.
Even the director's cut was only 2 hours and 49 minutes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I don't think it can compare whatsoever to that.
no.
Yeah, probably not.
And then with the technology we have today too.
Oh, yeah. There was Dune has forever been, before Denis Villeneuve took this project on, I've always heard my entire life that they never can faithfully adapt the Dune novels into a movie properly. Because the 1984 one was a horrific bomb when it came out, and critics weren't easy on it. And that was the thing for the longest time. People just believed it was unfilmable. The Dune novels.
There's a lot of sci-fi like that though that have now been filmed. The Foundation TV show, they considered Foundation unfilmable for years. I guess George Lucas, James Cameron all looked at it and were like, no. The 3 Body Problem is a new miniseries coming to Netflix later this month.
Mm-hmm.
That was considered unfilmable.
Yeah.
So it's amazing what we can do, like between splitting movies into 2 now, because that never was a thing till I think the 90s.
Yeah.
Right.
Between that and then like streaming service miniseries, you can do a lot now.
Yeah. I think we can all put those I think we can all put that idea to rest that this story is unfilmable, because Denis Villeneuve pretty much proved that you can absolutely do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just needed the right person to take this on. So
Yeah, and I've seen 3 of his movies. I've seen Prisoners, which I love,
yeah.
the first Dune, and Dune Part 2.
We still need to get you to watch Blade Runner 2049.
Oh,
and
No.
Yeah, I can't believe you haven't watched.
I need
that
to watch
yet.
the original Blade Runner first before I go
Yeah,
see
So-called
that makes-
action expert.
That makes sense. Well, Blade Runner isn't an action.
No,
movie.
it's
a-
straight-
That's what I
it's a
heard. Yeah.
it's a sci-fi noir.
Yeah,
It's
I was
not-
going to say
it's not
it's
about the
slow.
action.
It's not action.
Yeah, that was one of the when Blade Runner 2049 came out, and Blade Runner 2049 is one of my favorite movies of all
Mine too.
time. I think it is better than the original Blade Runner. I think Blade Runner is a
That's
great,
what a lot of people
is-
said.
Blade Runner is a classic. Don't get me wrong, but in many ways, I think Blade Runner 2049 took what worked with the original and elevated it with better pacing, better. Not to say a better story, but a more engaging story.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel so too. Like,
Yeah.
the original was kind of rushed. I felt like with the pacing.
Well, that was because the studio infamously, because there's like 4 different versions of the original Blade
Right.
Runner you can watch, and
Yeah.
that was a heavily edited down movie. And in the original cut, I don't know if you knew this, but Harrison Ford as Deckard voices over the majority of the original in the theatrical version, like in a completely like weird way that doesn't feel right with the movie that it's attached onto. Like, imagine watching the original Blade Runner, but with Harrison Ford's narration through it.
That sounds weird.
It completely kills the movie.
Yeah, I've only seen the final cut, so
yeah, the final cut is the definitive version to watch for Blade Runner. And thankfully they didn't toy with that with 2049.
Yeah,
So.
thank God.
Yeah. And just real quickly, Coastal Cows of the Third Kind, that has 3 cuts. It has
Does it really?
It has a theatrical cut, it has a director's cut, and it's got the special edition cut. And I have all 3 versions all on my digital, and I also have the box set. So I do want to watch that movie. Because Steven Spielberg is my favorite. So there you go. But that's another story for another day.
I was going to say, we'll talk about that movie another day.
Absolutely.
Yep. Denis Villeneuve, easily, because my favorite director of all time, and most people probably know this about me, is Christopher Nolan.
Yes.
But there's so many great upcoming and already established directors that a lot of people really are paying more attention to now. And with because the recent success of this movie, because the box office results came in today, it's staggeringly good.
Yeah.
The performance that this movie has had.
I just checked that.
It's I think people are really going to pay attention more now to Denis Villeneuve, because Blade Runner 2049, as much as people loved it, it was not a box office hit at all.
No.
It bombed, actually.
Yeah, and that movie, I think that movie was my favorite movie of the year it came out. So, yeah, I think now Denis Villeneuve has proved himself that he can be, a director that's not just, known for his auteurist style. He actually can be,
a blockbuster director.
Yeah.
Because Arrival and Blade Runner catered to a certain audience.
Yeah.
Like, they weren't blockbuster
And Arrival
films.
was a huge hit when it came out. I remember that movie doing super
But it was not a blockbuster at all. It was philosophical type.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was, yeah. I've seen, I think, all of Denis Villeneuve's films. He's made quite a bit.
I have actually not.
Prisoners, it was the first movie I saw of his, and that movie haunted me because I saw that that movie came out when I was 14.
Oh, jeez.
And I saw that in the theater.
Oh, no.
With, my family loves dark shit, and I saw I remember seeing commercials for Prisoners when I was that age. I was like, this looks pretty good. And, we went to see it when it came out, and it was like, this is way darker than I thought it would ever be. Fantastic movie.
I still want to get Paul to watch it.
Prisoners is a must-see. The performances in that, or like every person in that movie,
Should have won an Oscar.
is the best. I think the best performance, aside from Gyllenhaal. I think his as great as he is in that movie. I would say Nightcrawler's his best performance, that he's ever had. But Hugh Jackman in that movie,
And Paul Dano.
Paul Dano. Oh my God.
They both should win Oscars for that.
Yeah.
I agree.
Some of the best performances I've ever seen. Then he went to do Sicario with Emily Blunt, which also is a great movie you should watch.
I totally want to watch that, absolutely.
Yeah, great thriller. In case you don't know what it's about drug cartels and all that stuff. It's very intense, like Prisoners is. Then he went to do, I think, Arrival was next. Yeah. Arrival is a beautiful, psychological, very deep and poetic kind of sci-fi. Not your usual kind of sci-fi you see with alien films, but that is a terrific film. Then Blade Runner 2049 after that, which so many people loved and adored. Then I think Dune was next after that.
Yeah, that's the 2 Dune movies.
Yep. So I cannot. We all know he's going to do the third Dune. God, I cannot wait to see what else he does.
Rumor has it the studio is going to carry on and do at least 1 or 2 more after that.
Because there's more books, right?
There's 6 books total.
Yeah. So they have a whole gold mine of stories they can do.
They're actually making. I forget. I think that it's Dune.
Prophecy.
Yeah, I forget what the second one was, but the third one was Messiah.
Yeah.
The second one
The
is.
second one I
believe
think was
is
Messiah.
What second one? The Messiah.
Second one's Messiah, but they're doing
That's
a
what I
TV
thought.
show called Prophecy.
Exactly. That's what I was about to say.
It's about the Bene Gesserit.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think there's another one called Children of Dune.
Yes.
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
I think that's the third one.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're actually developing the series right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm excited. For
I think
it
they're
after
filming
this.
it actually.
Are they filming it right now?
I think so. Yeah.
I mean, this is our our generation Star Wars at this
Yeah,
point.
it is.
No,
think
I
so.
fully agree.
There's been a lot of comparisons between this series and Lord of the Rings,
Mm.
and I've seen so many people say online how this movie Dune Part 2, this must have been what it felt like when people saw Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
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 The Two Towers when they came out, and I didn't, obviously I'm not old enough. I was not alive when Empire Strikes Back came out, and I did not see Two Towers because I was like 3. So, but yeah, this is Dune 2 is as good as everyone has been making it out to be.
Yes.
I think it is a new masterpiece and new benchmark in this kind of sci-fi blockbuster filmmaking.
As of this afternoon, I've been watching it go up the last couple of days on IMDb's top rated movies of all time.
Yeah.
As of like 3:00 this afternoon, it was at number 14 of all time in terms of highest rated.
Deserves it.
I
really
think
does.
last time I saw it had like a 9 out of 10. On
Yeah, it's got a 9 out of 10. Yeah.
I think it's right next to Dark Knight and all that.
Yeah, Dark Knight's at 3. That has a 9 though too.
Yep.
So like it's level with the Dark Knight and stuff. It just has more
It's
rankings.
just insane.
Yeah.
But yeah, who wants to go into their deeper thoughts about Dune Part 2?
Well, since he's both of you guys are science fiction experts. Who wants to
boy's
go
wearing a
first?
Dune shirt.
You or you do it? Who wants to go?
I'll
first?
save my thoughts for last.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So
right.
I guess David can go first then.
All right. I should state for the record, I wasn't a big fan of Part 1. I'm not a big fan of Denis' style as a filmmaker. I can admit that they're great movies. Like, I'm not stupid. like I can see that. So I should state for the record, I wasn't a big fan of Part 1. I did rewatch it recently. I did have a better time rewatching it. It still was just not exactly my style. Like,
Right.
I'll rewatch it to rewatch Part 2 every single time. But no, I love this. This was amazing. I really wasn't expecting to love it.
Yeah, I think the thing that pretty much everyone is saying about this is that even people who weren't in love with the first film, because I loved it, but it does, I think the main point of Dune Part 1 was to establish the world and
Yes.
to establish the characters.
Yeah, absolutely,
I think that was smart for this movie because you get into this one and they immediately go into like the meat of it. Like,
Yeah, there's
Yeah,
no
they don't
recap.
wait-
It's just
Yeah, they
Yeah.
don't waste time.
Yeah.
They're just like, if you didn't watch the first part, that sucks. Continue.
I think it was necessary to have all that set up in Dune Part 1.
Yeah,
I think that was very important.
I think
absolutely.
I think unlike some other two-parters, like this is purely one movie.
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
like there's a lot of like Infinity War Endgame. You don't have, even though they're technically a two-part movie, you don't really. You could watch Infinity War by itself or Endgame by itself and still have fun watching it. Like this is one long movie.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Like you need to be sitting down for
Yeah.
6 hours when you gotta
yeah,
rewatch
every
this.
time you rewatch it, you're gonna want to watch the whole thing.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah. Immediately after watching Part 2, I was like, I can't wait till this comes out, on video, so I can so I can marathon these.
Yes.
Yeah.
I do that with, the original Lord of the Rings trilogy. I think that's how most people watch those movies.
Right.
Yeah, marathon, baby.
I'm going to own up to something. So, as I said, I don't have a great tracker liking Denny's movies. Like, again, great movies. But I wanted to enjoy myself a little bit more. So, I ate some CBD gummies before I watched it. I ate 3. And my God, was it great. And we saw it in Dolby Atmos.
Oh man,
Yeah, it was crazy.
I've only seen this once. I didn't have a chance to see it this weekend, but the second time I see this, because the theater in our state in a theater that's actually really close to me has the 70 millimeter version of it at the
State Museum.
Yeah, that will be the second time I watch this movie because it is going to be incredible.
Yes, that's the biggest screen in the state.
Yeah, and only a handful, because that was the theater I saw Oppenheimer on in 70 millimeter, and that was just spellbinding. Only a handful of theaters in like the world, because I think I heard the statistic last year when Oppenheimer came out, that only like 34 theaters or locations have, the capability to play 70 millimeter films. And luckily we live in a state where that is possible. So
I'm going to have to rewatch Interstellar when it hits there again. I want to see Interstellar on that.
Yeah, I went to see back in I think it was 2020, when movie theaters finally opened their doors again. They re-released some movies, and Interstellar, because I definitely saw Interstellar in the theater. I didn't actually get the chance to see it in IMAX 70 millimeter, and yeah, I got my chance that time. It was like, yeah, it's insane. You got to go see that in 70 millimeter. Yes. Yeah, it was awesome.
I feel a little weird talking good about this movie. I gotta be honest. But because the reason why is because I feel like it kind of reflects on me as a person, as a moviegoer, because I'm not somebody who's hypercritical about movies. Like, my core philosophy when it comes to the movie-going experience is a movie is a good movie if you're entertained. And if that's my core basis, like that's my lifeline, like that is my baseline for jurisdiction of saying this is a good movie. It makes me feel like I'm not. It makes me feel like a fake moviegoer. Like I just go to the movies and watch for explosions. And like we said earlier, the part one was a lot of setup, and then part two was the payoff. Part two was where things really kicked into gear. And I feel like a lot of it stems from the fact that it was a bigger movie. Like there were so many action scenes. It was so tense. It had me on the edge of my seat like the entire time. And it's because it was constantly moving.
Yep.
Like it was the grandfather sandworm scene, fucking amazing. I lost my my jaw was hanging. I really did feel for a second like I was going to have to pick it up off the floor. It blew me away, and it just kept going like that. I will say I'll go ahead and make my comments on shit. What's the name of the Harkonnen home planet?
GD Prime.
Yeah.
GD Prime.
So when they introduce us to Fade, was
Fade.
Okay. When they introduced us to Fade, and it was basically just black and white.
Apparently they used infrared.
Yeah, that was shot with infrared cameras, and I think another movie that used infrared like that was Jordan Peele's Nope.
Okay, yeah.
Because they used that for all the nighttime scenes. I don't know. That's an area of filmmaking or cameras that I don't have a firm grasp on yet, like the infrared stuff. I'm not sure how it works, but whatever they did, because that was the moment in the movie where I was like, this might be the best looking movie I've probably ever seen.
Yeah, no, fully agreed.
I almost never have that thought come into my head when I'm watching a movie, even in the theater, because I tend to be a picky guy.
Yeah,
you know, I used to review movies all the time, and you know, that thought really seriously did come into my head when that scene with Austin Butler, when he comes in. That's his big introduction.
Yeah.
It's about hour and
it was like an hour and a half
in. Yeah. So that's the first introduction. You really don't get to see him until like halfway through the movie.
Yeah.
But man, is it a hell of an introduction to that character.
It's beautiful.
Because the way it's shot and everything. So when they said it was said something like the black, like that planet or world has like a black sun.
Yeah.
It's like, oh shit, that's fucking awesome.
Yeah, I thought
I don't even know why. That's just fucking awesome. Yeah, so it's not like all black and white because they.
Well, yeah,
because what I kind of blew me away is because everything in this Coliseum, this gladiator kind of thing, it looks like black and white, but whenever a character walks like into the shade or the shadows, it goes slightly back into color. I'm like, holy fuck.
Yeah, no, that alone blew me away.
Yeah,
I was like, this is how you feel like you're on an alien planet watching a movie, because it's one of the things that you don't really think about. You normally just think about like yellow sun. So it being a black sun was that's probably how it was movie.
I need to put Soundgarden song.
Yes.
Black hole sun.
I actually thought those scenes, like with the color scheme, it actually looked kind of haunting.
Yeah, it was terrifying almost.
This is something I noticed. Whenever there's that clip in the trailer where Austin Butler's Federatha, he's fighting in that arena, he's screaming in just this primal rage, and it looks like he has black teeth.
Yeah, he does.
And I was like, that kind of looks a little silly in the trailer when he's just screaming and it looks like he has no teeth, but it's like, no, the way that this is shot and the way it actually looks in the scene is it makes his teeth look black, which is really kind of terrifying. But yeah, Austin Butler, can we talk about him in this? Like,
he was amazing. He blew me away.
Crap, dude. Everyone,
I'm saving my excitement whenever it's my turn.
Oh yeah.
I have next.
Austin Butler, I heard a lot of before Elvis came out, there was all this, people were just giving him so much shit. Before that movie even came out. And I think he did an outstanding job in that role. He absolutely killed it. It has been kind of funny to hear him talk after the movie has been out and he still has that voice to it. But, and that was one of my worries going into this. It was like, is Austin Butler going to do is he just going to sound like Elvis again? But no, he does not sound like Elvis.
He sounds almost exactly like Skarsgård.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. Austin Butler, I think, is made this role really stand out as more than just your one-dimensional villain. He really did crush it in this role.
He played it so much better than Sting in the original.
Oh yeah. Oh, that was a mistake. But no, it's been really cool because Sting and Austin Butler, have been at premieres together, and they're chill buddies now, which is awesome to see.
Yeah.
But I think Austin Butler absolutely killed it in this movie. He's just incredible in this.
He killed a lot of things in this movie.
It's for the main podcast, Paul. No points.
That wasn't supposed to be a pun. A joke. It's true.
Right.
He really took a stab at it.
Don't take your free shots while you can.
Yes, no.
Can I chop him, please?
Yes.
I'm not gonna chop you.
Get him when he doesn't expect it. I also haven't been a fan of Chalamet's performances.
Oh.
Like I thought he was okay in the first part. I think he played it really well. It's just he was reserved and stoic and everything in the first part, which made sense. So I just it didn't really allow him to showcase his range in the first part. In this one, I loved it. He gave a really good performance. I see what a lot of other people see in him now. Like it changed my mind on him a lot.
100%.
The rage-filled scenes were amazing.
Mm-hmm. I think because this movie really does have, and this is the thing that part one set up, and the thing that sets this movie apart, and the ending especially. This movie really does lay the groundwork for the next one because by the end of this movie, Paul Atreides has pretty much become the villain.
Yeah, he's a dick.
Yeah. I mean, he's pretty much pulled a Michael Corleone from Godfather Part 1 at the end of this, because he's fully embraced that religious zealot. You know, he's fully embraced the Fremen around him, and just has no moral qualms by the end of this, by completely ignoring Zendaya's character of Shani, and just, you know, that kind of really threw me a loop, because I didn't know how the story ended from the book, and I don't even remember, how did the 1984 one end? Did it end like this?
I don't remember,
because I don't remember at all.
I don't
and
either.
If they did it, then it wasn't nearly as impactful as how this movie ended it with.
You're making me less excited to watch the 84 version now.
I honestly try to block it from my memory.
Actually, you guys are making me really excited to watch it tonight. I'm going to.
It tonight.
Oh, I'm going to.
Do you want me to let you borrow it so you have the extended cut?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, absolutely. No, 100%. I still have some gummies left, so I'll have a great time no matter what.
It's funny because, like, whenever we were watching this in the theater, towards the end, whenever they were showing different shots of him, I was like, this is, to me, it just reminded me of Anakin.
Yes. Yeah. It was a lot like that.
But I didn't know the
Is it the
story,
hair?
so I'm like, partially the hair, yes.
Well, I mean, he also had the kind of Sith eyes thing going on for a minute
Yeah.
there.
I don't.
When he has that robe on and he's walking through the desert, it does give off Sith vibes.
Yeah, he got real scary for a minute there.
I don't know the story.
I'm just
of
waiting
the
for his
second
eyes
book.
to turn yellow.
I'm very, very curious to see what the future holds for this franchise, because I want to see, does he become a full-on villain?
I think he kind of does.
Yeah.
Because
the Holy War.
From
Yeah.
what I've heard, Messiah's, he's basically like, he's become that level of leader.
Yeah.
You know, the ruthless kind of leader by the end of this that teases. So I don't know how exactly that's going to happen in the movie when part 3 comes out, but yeah, so excited to see what they do with it.
If the third book is only going to be one movie, it needs to be 3 hours.
Yes. Well,
Yeah.
I think that they're going to continue that trend.
Or 3.5.
Yeah,
I feel like they're
yeah.
going to aim for 3.5.
It's a monumental story that you really can't
Yeah.
condense under 3.
Yes.
Like, it's insane. I hold the same opinion for Marvel's upcoming Secret Wars movie. It has to be at least 3 hours.
Yes.
There's a lot to go in that, but
Longer
that's a
than
completely
Endgame.
different topic.
Yeah.
I really like the fight between Federatha and Paul.
Oh yeah, I'm getting chills thinking about it.
The how do I want to put this? Because I don't want to just say silence, but like there was nothing else other than the clang of blades, the grunts, and the steps. That's it.
The tension of it.
The entire room is silent. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like there's just an absolute void that's only filled by what you're seeing, essentially. And it was beautiful. And I think it was choreographed really well. I think that it was a great depiction of their characters, because it was showing that Paul had been learning. He went from getting his ass kicked by Gurney like a year earlier to fully taking on this dude who is so cocky he takes off his shield for a gladiator fight.
Yep.
Like, I just... it was a really... I like on-screen storytelling. I don't like... I'm starting to drift away from the entire... Like, I want to hear what's going on. Like, tell me the story audibly.
Don't drown it out with music.
Yeah.
Like a lot of other movies do. Like,
Yeah.
You know,
I feel like that was Tennant's weakest point, was some of the music way overpowered.
Yeah, 100%.
and no, like some of my favorite action sequences of all time or fight scenes have no music. It's just the sound of whatever's happening in it.
Interesting.
One of my favorite, what kind of reminded me of the fight in this was one of the fight scenes in the Bourne Ultimatum. Have any of you guys seen the Bourne movies?
It's been a
long
while.
time, but I've seen them, yeah.
I've seen the first one. I haven't seen the other ones yet.
Okay. The third movie, Bourne Ultimatum, has one of my favorite all-time fight scenes in anything. It's where, Matt Damon as Jason Bourne is fighting this one assassin, and he's jumping through. It takes place in like this hotel kind of, or apartment kind of thing. He's jumping through these the windows of these buildings to get to this guy to stop him from killing someone, and it's like the fight scene in Dune Part 2. There's just no music. There's just the sounds of everything happening, the Foley, things shattering.
Just the sounds of violence.
Just the grunts and stuff.
It's not counting.
And what's stupid? What really kind of bugged me before I saw Doom Part 2, I saw this really dumb tweet about the movie because from someone at the premiere, someone at the who saw the movie the premiere before me had said that Doom Part 2 has the best hand-to-hand fight scene since 2002's Spider-Man. I'm like,
what?
What are you talking about? Have you not seen a goddamn action movie in like 22 years? I mean, don't get me wrong, because they're obviously talking about, comparing the Doom fight to they're probably talking about the Green Goblin fight at the end, which is a great fight scene. Don't get me wrong, it's a great action scene in the first Spider-Man, but are you not? How could you say that when we've had movies like the Raid movies, fucking Mad Max Fury Road?
Yeah,
I've actually never seen the Raid.
Watched both of them. Raid
John
Wick,
Wick. Yeah,
Raid 2. I mean, we've had 4 John Wick movies. We've had all these, terrific action movies come out in the past 2 decades. Spider-Man was the first thing that popped in your head.
Out of all the Marvel properties, you could have gone more recent with Winter Soldier.
Yeah,
and been even more correct.
Or even Shang-Chi.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Shang-Chi. Come on, man.
That's like saying, I haven't watched a movie in 22 years. This is only the second movie that I have seen.
All the way back to 2002 with fucking Tobey Maguire.
Yeah.
Last movie seen.
I mean, dude, I've seen over 600 movies in my life. This guy sounds like he's always seen 2. Like, what are you doing, guys?
That man who made that tweet about that comparison was probably the only person in the.
I hope he's not listening to this
There's no
podcast. I hope he's not listening to
I hope
If
he
he
is.
is, he's getting roasted.
Sir, if that scene was the first thing that came to your head, watch anything that's come out in 20 years.
Back in
Anything else?
At least describe to us your line of thought.
Yeah. That was like the most basic comparison I've ever seen.
Oh, Lord.
Way back in my day.
Godspeed, Paul Atreides.
Back in my day, Sonny, when I was your age.
Man, now I had to find this tweet. I gotta add him when we drop this.
This would actually be funny. Remember in that fight scene in the first Spider-Man where Peter's getting his shit kicked in by the Green Goblin in that building, there's a part where he gets knocked back and he falls on the ground. It's like,
Yeah,
that's the sound that Tobey Maguire makes. Someone needs to put that scene in this fight scene in Doom Part 2. Just when Paul Atreides gets punched or something.
No. I know exactly where to fit it in. It's where he like completely collapses in front of the crowd, like right behind where Fade had started. And he just ragdolls. That's exactly where he needs to go.
I read an article the other day, Garrett. I'm gonna have to send it to you. It was the worst film journalism I have ever seen.
Okay, I saw you posted that on your Facebook. I read that. It was the most pointless thing I've ever read in my life.
It's like, what the crap?
Like, okay, I get it. You saw this movie at 3 a.m. Cool.
He didn't even say anything about the movie itself.
No, but what really got me about that was because it was like I've dreaded this day for 2.5 years of watching Dune Part 1. It's like,
Hold on. I need some context. What the fuck did he say?
Matthew can probably explain it better.
So there was an article from Variety of all sites, so it's a major news site.
Okay.
And he's like, I seen Dune Part 2 at 3:15 a.m. That was the name of the article. There was nothing actually about the movie. He was talking about dreading seeing the first movie, his experience at the theater, like getting popcorn, how he was tired.
Okay.
And he talked about the people he met at the theater, but nothing actually about the movie.
All right, that sounds like him problems. That's all it is.
That is.
It's him just complaining about his movie-going experience.
It's the most pointless article that Variety has ever posted.
The fact that it's Variety too, like that.
Yeah, Variety is a credible source. Don't get me wrong. It was like,
yeah.
Why'd you write this?
Yeah, that's the worst movie review I have ever heard in my life.
But I mean, yeah, you're fucking tired. It's 3 a.m.
Right.
I saw, I had a job where I got to see, midnight screenings of movies that were not released yet. That was a few years ago. I got to see, during that time, I got to see No Way Home at midnight, in a very early screening. I got to see I got to see the first Dune at midnight, and I mean, yeah, you're fucking tired. And I was in college back then.
Yeah.
So it was like, fuck off.
Exactly. Screw you.
I mean, Variety is a
it's your fucking
yeah.
I mean, it probably wasn't his choice.
It wasn't. He said, yeah,
a hired thing.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, if it's a part of your job, maybe don't complain about it as much in your public article.
Just like the one Black Adam review, like you could say what you want about Black Adam. It wasn't the best DC movie.
No.
But like one of the reviews on Rotten Tomatoes said, I'm not a fan of superhero movies, so this is a bad movie.
Yeah, I hate I've seen so much more of that recently.
Journalism is really dead in the film industry.
It is.
Yeah, I can see that.
The last year with I know you weren't a fan of it, but Barbie, all that. I've constantly, from family and friends who watched the Barbie movie. Also, I love the Barbie movie.
Yeah, I thought it was great.
I was surprised how much I actually really enjoyed the movie.
But I've heard so many we're probably not the target demographic for a Barbie movie. Let's just be frank.
Yeah.
But I've heard so many people come to me and say they didn't like the Barbie movie, and it's people like us, guys in like their 20s to maybe 40s, and so many reviews on YouTube are like that nowadays, where it's like, it's just such entitlement. It's such fucking old man yelling at cloud syndrome.
Yeah. It's kind of a get off my lawn kind of rant. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Paul, shut up.
Getting off that,
I know you were going to say that would be me.
Thankfully, that's the only real dumb thing, like article or review. It wasn't a review. It was a blog, basically. But yeah, that's pretty much the only like real dumb thing I've seen posted about this movie. Everything else has pretty much been, glowing praise upon praise on it. So.
Yeah.
Well, good. It deserves it. I mean,
thankfully there's none of that culture war woke BS shit that's been put on so many, like 80% of all movies that come out now.
Yeah, they claim everything is woke.
Yeah, none of that shit has been, as far as I know, has been said about this movie, and thank God.
Yeah.
So,
was there any other praise you were to give this movie for Paul Comes Next?
I guess I just I also hadn't seen a whole lot of Javier Bardem's acting repertoire.
Oh, really?
I've seen highlights across his films.
No Country
for Old Men.
I haven't seen the entire movie, but I have seen a bunch of his famous scenes from it. So I thought that was really good.
Definitely watch the whole movie.
When you hear and see his name, that should be the first movie that you watch from him.
Okay. I'll make sure to watch that tomorrow.
It's not even my type of movie, and I love it.
It is probably one of the scariest villain performances of all time.
That's a lot of what I've heard.
Javier Bardem, that was the role that put him on the map.
Yeah.
Everyone, phenomenal movie, absolutely. But he is the main thing you will remember after you watch it.
No, I believe that.
Without a doubt.
I think that his performance was also really good in this.
Oh, he was great.
Almost
the comic relief. A
lot of the jokes came from him. Yeah. Or we return your body to the living waters. He was great. I loved him. I think that he played a really, which it plays into that's how his character was written and all that. But he played that kind of a role really well, where he was the zealot of the Fremen on the Northern Hemisphere.
He's almost like the Yoda of the story in
Yeah.
some ways, or maybe a combination of Yoda and Obi-Wan kind of in one character. A lot, the mentor figure that still, has his, moments of his moments of his sense of humor.
Yeah.
And his almost his level of devotion to Paul Atreides and his prophecy. It's hilarious in many parts of the film. Yeah, and it's moments of humor that are not forced, because whenever you bring up moments of humor in a movie like this, everyone always assumes like, oh, it's going to be like a Marvel thing. They're just going to say one-liners at each other,
Right.
Something physical. No, it's nothing like that at all. It's purely based on the relationships between the characters and all that, and the way everything is written together, and everything just flows really naturally.
Especially in recent years, Marvel's humor feels really
my
forced.
God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guardians was the best not forced humor recently, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah, well, that's James Gunn's thing, that he's mastered, and I think that Marvel recently has kind of took James Gunn's sense of humor and tried to emulate that. It just hasn't worked.
Yeah. They don't have the magic touch the same way that he does.
Nope.
Speaking of which, just shameless plug, they've changed it from Superman Legacy to Superman.
Yes.
That's coming out next year. We're so excited for that.
Yeah, it's going to be great. We'll, I'm sure we'll talk about that on the ramp up on the next full episode.
Yeah, we will.
Yeah, there's a lot to catch up on. That was really good. I don't have a whole lot of comments. I'm sure that I'm going to keep I'll keep making comments with your guys' independent reviews.
If you guys want to,
Paul?
I'm just going to save the ranking for later, since we normally do.
Yeah, we'll rank at the end.
Yeah.
yep.
Oh, John, you're gonna hate me so much.
No, please don't. No, please don't.
I hated this movie.
I don't know if I believe you.
I thought it was terrible. I literally asked Dylan maybe about half of the way through, 3/4 of the way through.
Yeah, he asked me an hour in how much time had passed. That is very true.
And then approximately a half hour after that, I'm like, "Can we please go?" And he was like, "No."
Yeah,
So
no, I spent the
was-
money on those tickets. I was going to see the entire movie
I
all
was
the way through.
forced to watch this abomination.
Yeah, he got up and left halfway through.
At the 1 hour moment, you went to the next auditorium to watch Madam Web.
Oh yeah, hey John,
To see Madam Web twice.
That's why I think you might hate me, John. I think that Madam Web is a far superior movie to Dune Part 2.
The look!
You cannot be serious. Oh God!
His lips are quivering.
Why can I not be serious? Movies
Why
are
so
subjective.
serious?
Why so serious?
Can we skip Paul, please?
No, he has every right to give his review. You just got to wait your turn.
The movie sucked. Timothy Chalamet did terrible. The fights were horrendous. No, okay.
Awesome.
I'll stop angering John now.
It was a bit, buddy. Don't worry about it.
Oh, thank you, Jesus! I knew it was a trick. Okay.
You've known this
Okay.
man for how long? And
I've been
After
around
a
him
year.
for I say almost 2 years since we've been friends.
John, you and I have only known each other for a year.
Yeah, it was through the podcast that the three of us met.
I think we got the handout in 2022. I don't know if I met you at Matthew's.
Yeah, you guys
party.
met at one of my parties or something, cookouts or something.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, probably. But anyway, go ahead.
In any case, anyone who knows me for any length of time should know I'm going to fuck with them a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
At
know.
least a smidge.
I know.
It's a rite of passage to be a friend with me.
to be a friend with both these two at this point.
Yes. So anyway, no, for real. Here's my take of the movie. I think that this is going to be movie of the year. There's really
Yes.
nothing
Yeah.
else
Oh,
coming
thank
out.
you.
There's a few things I'm still really looking forward to this year.
I do
absolutely,
want to
but-
clarify. There's at least one or two movies that I will enjoy more personally, but not that I think they're going to be better movies.
This is the best quality-wise.
Yes, by far, even acting wise, I would say.
He got me good. He got me good. Anyway.
I found it to be visually amazing. I think anyone who says that it's not good visually is blind.
Don't have eyes.
Yeah, they're liars.
They're born without eyes.
Don't ever watch a movie again.
The cinematography is top notch.
I was waiting for someone to mention that.
I mean, I brought it up when I was like, I thought, watching it when it got to that Fade Rotha part, I was like, this might be the best looking movie I've ever seen in my life. Yeah.
I love the fight scene so much.
Mm-hmm.
Like, anybody who knows me knows that I love fights. And, like, that last fight, I was on the edge of my seat.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It was so well done. I'm curious if any of y'all might know, did Timothée Chalamet and Austin Butler actually do that themselves, or was there ever stuntmen?
I guarantee there was stunt work.
I believe
'cause I feel
Austin did a lot of his own.
Unless you're like Tom Cruise or Keanu Reeves, you're probably not gonna have your actors do that. But I'm sure they did partake in a lot of training and preparation for it. Absolutely.
I believe Austin did some of his stunts. I read.
Mm-hmm. No,
Well,
he looks like a very physical guy.
Yeah.
I mean, fuck.
I have not seen Dune Part 1. So
What?
I haven't.
Although to be fair, though, I have read a report on Facebook that says you don't have to watch the first Dune to enjoy Dune.
I think
I
you have to watch
argue.
it.
Thoroughly
I
disagree. With
Yes,
that.
100%.
But did you follow this movie? Okay.
Not at first. At first, it was confusing because I knew that it was picking up where it left off
Right.
in
Yeah.
Part 1. So, like, there was certainly moments that I was a little confused as to, like, certain character relationships, how they develop, so on and so forth. Certain story points. But, like, once I put 2 and 2 together after a few minutes, I was able to follow along.
I think that is a mark, regardless of whether you've seen it. I think it is a mark of a great movie when it is a sequel like this, and you still a general audience member, regardless even if you haven't seen it, you can still gather what's going on, even if it has to be eventually. So yeah, I think that is a mark of a truly great film.
The acting in it was phenomenal. I'm gonna second what Dylan said about Timothée Chalamet not really being a huge fan of his prior.
Yeah.
I've even said it on the podcast. The only movie prior to the end of last year that I enjoyed his performance in was Lady Bird. I had seen like other movies that had him in it, and I was just, it's not that he was a bad actor in them. It's just that his performances didn't really strike me. Not saying he was a bad actor, but it wasn't until I saw Wonka of all movies
Okay.
Yeah,
that I was like, okay, he's actually pretty damn good. And then in this movie, like he
brought it.
Yeah,
He
no,
did.
He was amazing.
Took it up to 11.
I'm definitely a Timothée Chalamet fan now.
Yeah, I thoroughly loved his performance in this. It was brilliant.
I've been championing him. I've been a big Timothy fan for a while now.
I see it now. I see why now.
Since Interstellar, I think when he's Matthew McConaughey's younger version of his son.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't realize that was him.
Yeah,
Oh,
no,
yeah.
absolutely, yeah.
That was one of his. That was probably
I
the
made
first
the
role
comment.
I saw him in Interstellar.
I don't remember that.
Yeah,
I made a comment after I watched
I don't
Interstellar.
remember that either,
And
and I've
to be
seen that movie
fair-
twice.
To be fair, it's not his best performance. You can still tell he's I don't know how early on he got into acting.
Yeah,
I
he was
I
probably
don't
like
know.
14 when that happened. So.
Yeah.
No, he's probably like maybe later teens.
Okay, he
he's
looked
still-
younger.
Yeah, it was like 2014.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
Hollywood, you can never.
Yeah,
Any
Yeah.
character who is 14 is usually played by at least a 20-year-old.
Right.
Tom Welling.
a lot of it with a lot of movies, I feel like it has to do with content too.
Yeah.
they don't want kids like saying certain things, or if,
I think
if there's any sexual content, obviously they're not going to have kids.
I think the Dear Evan Hansen movie was, I think, the turning point for casting older people in roles that should be played by much younger people.
I can say this real quickly. I actually like Dear Evan Hansen a lot.
I didn't see it, and and you might be one of the very few people that did.
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
I did listen to the musical.
I've not seen it.
I did listen to the musical soundtrack, and I loved the soundtrack. And I actually enjoyed the movie version, but I only seen it once. So,
What other thoughts do you have, Paul?
I mean, there's not really a whole lot that I can add to it other than what I've already said. I do have kind of a hot take. Well, not necessarily a hot take. It very well could be in my, I'd say, top 5 movies of all time.
Oh, shoot.
I've been definitely hearing that a lot. No, for real. Like,
If not top 5, top
people
10.
are already declaring this one of the best movies of all time.
It is.
Up there with best sequels, and I definitely see why. With newer movies like this, even if I absolutely adore something, and I absolutely adored this movie, I usually like to wait maybe a year until I declare something as like one of my favorite movies. And sometimes they are, and sometimes they aren't. I can definitely see this becoming, one of my favorite sequels of all time. Up there with like Terminator 2, of course, Empire Strikes Back, Dark Knight. I think Dark Knight is still my favorite movie and my favorite sequel of all time. But yeah, this can approach that.
Yeah, what do you got, Dylan?
I was just going to. I looked this up after you guys were talking about the stunt doubles. Timothée Chalamet has one stunt double, at least per IMDb. He has one stunt double. Austin Butler had 2 stunt doubles. Zendaya also had 2 stunt doubles, and then Rebecca Ferguson and Javier Bardem both had their respective ones. I don't think I saw one for Josh Brolin. Stellan Skarsgård had one.
Though he didn't
I'm not really seeing anybody
Stellan
else.
Skarsgård, being a character of that size,
He just kind of floated around.
Yeah.
didn't really do anything real physical, but yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting that they gave him one. Yeah, no, I agree.
I was just waiting. One of my favorite moments in part 1 is that scene with him where he's gigantic, when he's rising up with
my
Arrakis, my Dune. That scene is iconic.
It is.
That line
really
reading
is.
is iconic. But yeah,
I feel like it has to do with rewatchability. How many times you rewatch it before you can make a judgment call of how high it's going to be on your rankings.
yeah. Last time I think I was on this podcast was when we all talked about
Oppenheimer?
Yep,
Nolan and
Oppenheimer.
Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
And when I was talking about how much I loved that goddamn movie, and I still absolutely do.
It ended up being my
I've s-
number 1 movie of the year.
It was definitely my number 1 last year. When I was on your show, I I said this might be easily might become Nolan's most important movie he's ever made. I still absolutely stand by that movie is going to probably become what Schindler's List was for Spielberg. Oppenheimer will be that for Christopher Nolan, and
Okay,
I think time will tell. But I do think that this Dune Part 2 will be in a year from now be in that conversation of movies like Godfather 2, Dark Knight, Terminator 2, all that.
I think 10 years from now, because I believe it's 10 years is the minimum. I believe both Oppenheimer and Dune Part 2 will be among the film registry's save movies. Like if there's like a nuclear war, like they put it in a bunker to preserve film history. I feel like both of those will be in that.
What's interesting,
Oppenheimer with nuclear war.
The American Film Institute,
Yeah,
selects movies like
that's
that.
what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Well, in 2020, 2 movies I remember, being selected finally in 2020.
The Dark Knight.
Dark Knight and Shrek.
Yeah.
Shrek, it took
I remember
it took
that.
19 years for AFI to select that gem of a fucking movie and put it in their lineup. I mean,
They must have decided that, hey, now he's an all-star.
yeah. It took them 12 years.
You can't do that. We're not in the podcast part yet, man. You can't do that.
So it took 19 years for Shrek 1. Where's Shrek 2? How long is it going to take for them to do Shrek
Oh, no,
2?
Dylan's...
What we get? He's gonna put the count backwards now.
No. Sorry. I should have clarified this before we started the episode. One thing about the spray bank is you can get points outside of the podcast.
Oh.
But it's really hard to do it.
outside of like the main episodes.
It has to be really fucking good.
And that was really good.
That was really good. Paul had 2 yesterday. He tried 5. I didn't give him 3 of
And
them.
all of them should have counted.
No. Fuck you.
Fuck
Here
you.
Here we go.
You did.
Again.
Matthew,
But
333.
Y'all said
All
you
right.
weren't going to do this shit on there.
I said I would tone things back recently.
You have.
I feel like I've been
Now's
really good.
the moment to hit that limiter on yourself.
Yeah, no, I am.
Ah,
Yeah.
that's a good one, buddy. Okay. But anyway, yeah, but I didn't know if there was anything else, or Matthew, anything else you want to say before
Paul, you got anything else?
Hey, now you're an
Go see.
Good one, Garrett.
Go see this movie for the love of God.
in IMAX and in
Yes.
70 millimeter.
I'm
if
so
you
glad.
can, yeah.
I'm
You have
so
it.
glad we saw it in IMAX.
Oh, you
It-
did see it in IMAX.
It wasn't IMAX.
We,
it was
we went
Dolby.
together.
Yeah,
it was
what?
what?
It was Dolby, not IMAX.
Okay. Well,
Well, Dolby is,
Well, no, I prefer Dolby because I just first of all they had the recliners, and so it's just a nicer experience
I will
together. That way,
say-
I'm not doing this with my seat
which
buddies.
what was the theater that you
The
saw?
31 one?
We went to
NBC
AMC 17.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. I go to that theater a lot. So the IMAX theater didn't have the recliners.
Yeah, that IMAX theater doesn't have
Yeah.
recliners. It was like the regular steel folding ones.
Yeah. That's weird because the main theater I go to has recliners in every single theater, which is kind of stupid that one, and that's one of the biggest theaters in in our area.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
But
Well, I think that it's just so they can fit more butts in seats. I think that's
Yeah,
the only reason why
and
they
it-
haven't made that conversion.
dude, I got a picture of when I saw. I don't know if I shared this at all, but when I went to see, went to the early screening of this, I was not. I mean, I was expecting there to be a lot of people there, but not to the extent that there was in the
wow.
lobby. It was insane. Like,
Oh, wow.
this was last summer, because it was like that of last summer when the premiere of Barbenheimer,
Yeah.
Barbie and Oppenheimer, because that was just the biggest movie event of last year. It was that level,
Yeah, no, absolutely.
people were incredibly excited for this.
Yeah.
After all,
I bet Dune's going to have the biggest box office since Barbie.
yeah,
I would say
think
so.
too.
yeah.
Not counting Taylor Swift,
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
because that was insanely.
I just would like to say that I am so glad that we live in a generation that we've had 2 movies like this now that are just so well done, that are masterpieces.
What's the other one?
Oppenheimer.
Oh, yeah.
Oppenheimer and Dune Part 2 are the 2 best movies that have come out in a long time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think, because I think last year was a great year for movies. in
Oh,
general.
yeah.
Yeah,
A lot
absolutely.
of people, will talk about all the movies that bombed last year, and yes, there were a lot of movies that bombed, but those were mainly, franchise movies.
Yes,
It's not
yeah.
necessarily a statement on the movies themselves. It's just, the level of franchise, the level of franchisement that, last year unfortunately had, where, people were just kind of tired of all these, third, fourth, fifth sequels to everything, and they wanted to see something, new, like Barbie or Oppenheimer, or, something even like, Five Nights at Freddy's, which, regardless of whether you liked it or not, it got people talking, and it got people wanting to see it.
Part of the sorry, Nolan. Part of the franchise thing too was DC's done so many things. Like they canceled this movie, they've rescheduled this one, and with James Gunn's new universe, people just don't care anymore.
Well, they can get people. That's the thing. People will care because there's that saying that goes around is like winning cures everything. You know, you can lose over and over again, and you know you're gonna lose. You're not gonna win every time, but winning will, you know, it will make people think differently about you.
Yeah.
Whether you made it a great movie to the level of this one, or you know you got people talking like, you know, it's not just about, you know, DC or Marvel or Star Wars. It's just about people are getting tired of the same old thing and they want something like Dune Part 2, or they want something like, you know, Top Gun Maverick, where it's, yes, it is a sequel to something and it is based on something, but it's something that feels like it hasn't been done so many times before. It doesn't feel like it's not, you know, the 5th time we've seen Indiana Jones. It doesn't feel like, you know, the, you know, 7th, actually, no, the 10th Fast and Furious movie. You know, people will get tired of that.
Yeah.
And people did get tired of that last year, and they put their attention on new and fresh, you know, maybe, yes, Barbie is based on, you know, something that everyone knows. It's one of the most popular IP franchises of all time.
Yeah.
But it was something that people hadn't seen before. And something like Dune, people haven't seen this kind of thing before.
The only like franchises that show repeated movies, well, not franchises, but I'd never done more character strength in terms of superhero movies. The only ones that guaranteed to make money because the characters are so well loved are Spider-Man and Batman, I feel.
Yeah.
Like everybody's always going to go see those.
Those are the golden boys.
Yeah.
I'll say that, you know, Guardians last year, you know, proved because people love those characters, they will go to see them.
Yes.
It is all about, and it's not just, you know, this Doom Part 2 has great character work and it has amazing visuals. And you put those two things together, those are guaranteed to get you, you know, that level of Big Bang.
Yeah, yeah.
You have any final thoughts, Paul, before John goes?
See this movie, period.
Yeah, yeah.
If you haven't seen this movie, this
5 out of 5, 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
Well, save your rankings for later, Paul. Gosh, put the cart in front of the horse.
Too late. 5 out of 5. Don't listen to Dylan.
John, what do you got?
Not only do I agree with every single word you guys said about this movie, I got a few words to say also about this movie.
Oh no!
In a good way. Trust me, in a good way.
Okay.
So,
why are you throwing it at me?
I'm not. I was trying to flip it
Throwing
around.
shit.
Hey, we said no throwing water bottles.
yeah, exactly.
I wasn't. I was trying to flip it up in the air.
Right. Wink.
Okay, but anyway. Whew. Boy, there's so many things about this movie that I absolutely just loved. The action, visuals, acting, story-wise, the spectacle, the cinematography. Not only did I love this movie broke me. Like, this is the one where I was like, I'm done. Because when I was making my list of the most anticipated films of 2024, there are lots of movies that I am excited for that's coming out this year. Mm-hmm. Like, I have Inside Out 2 as my number one.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Too.
And there are other films I'm also looking forward to, like the sequel to Joker, sequel to Deadpool, and there's also Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes that's coming out.
That is another one.
Yeah.
I think people should be talking about more because it seems like even though people, every time I ask people about, or I talk about them with people, they say they love them. Where's that talk about the most recent Planet of the Apes movies being one of the best trilogies in recent, like, of all time?
I still have not watched War.
Oh,
yeah, I haven't watched the
my
final
God.
one.
War is amazing, dude. You gotta watch it.
They only get better. Those three Apes movies. Rise was awesome. Rise was really good. Dawn was incredible, and then War really tied a really great bow on everything.
I actually feel horrible about this. I bought War on Black Friday that year, and I still have not watched it.
Holy shit!
I can relate to that, but shame on you still.
Watch it before May.
Now.
Watch it before May when it comes out. But
if you don't watch it before you see Kingdom,
I will.
problems.
Yeah.
Can I chop him again if he doesn't watch it this week?
I'm gonna watch it next week probably. Because I'm doing my Fast and Furious rewatch right now.
We'll make it fast.
So Fast and Furious is your priority of a goddamn Planet of the Apes.
Exactly.
For right now,
Why,
yes.
dude?
Get your priorities
Why,
straight.
dude? Okay,
Fucking kidding me.
yeah, but anyway, as much that I am so excited for these movies, I'm gonna tell you the truth right now. I swear, even if I absolutely love those movies, it's not going to be Dune Part 2. I really don't think it's going to be. If I say I love the Deadpool sequel, if I say I love the Inside Out sequel, heck, even if I said I love the Moana sequel, it's not going to beat Dune Part 2. It's not going to do it. And I was speechless after the film was over. I couldn't say a word. I looked over at Matthew, and I was just like, what did I just witness?
Nobody said a word. It was quiet in there.
Exactly. And
People were. I don't know if you guys had this. There was applause at the end of this.
No,
Was there
everybody was
applause?
just silent.
There was like 2 people that clapped, but then
I mean-
whenever no one else clapped, they quit.
Yeah. Everybody kind of just got up and started leaving
People-
immediately.
I mean, people clapped at some dumb shit. Like the first 3 Transformers movies.
I thought you were gonna say. I thought you were gonna say the first Harvest. I was gonna be like, wow.
That's true.
People did clap for the
What I
first Harvest.
experienced.
Now, the only movie I've ever seen clapping here in Shelbyville is No Way Home.
Yeah.
And there was clapping at the end, and there was a dude in a Spider-Man costume who, when
Was-
Tobey Maguire came on screen, he just stands up and he's like, yes, yes, yes!
Man,
It was you, wasn't it?
No.
it was the weirdest feeling watching that on opening night, No Way Home, with like the huge packed crowd.
Yeah.
And already and being the only one who actually knows everything that's about to happen. That was one of my, like, the first time I watched it, it was insane, but it wasn't with like a huge crowd.
Right.
And the best time seeing that was the opening night with like the main general public seeing it for the first time. That was the experience of something like that.
That was the best experience.
And it just something like Dune Part 2 just proves streaming, no matter how good your TV is, or how good the streaming services that put something like this out, streaming is just never going to beat the theatrical experience.
No.
With
No.
something like
Oh, God, no.
this, and movies like this will continue to be made. Will absolutely continue to be made.
I almost
The
wish...
a blockbuster like this is not dead.
No.
Nowhere even close to being dead. Something that is made with such care and made with such ambition under such a brilliant director and a brilliant cast and some of the best visual effects I've seen in years. This movie has flawless special effects everywhere, and the fact that they actually filmed this in an actual desert instead of just on a bunch of green screens.
Yeah.
Nothing beats guerrilla filmmaking and actually filming on location.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And people
even
were
in
actually
26-degree weather.
people were passing out on
Yeah.
certain days, but and I'm not saying that that's
Good.
you should. I'm not saying that that's a good thing, but it proves the level of dedication that people are willing to go under to create something this good.
Yes,
and
yeah.
something this big, and it just made me even more mad at Tyler Perry because that AI video generator thing that has been making news. Tyler Perry actually went out and talked about it. He was like, instead of putting all this money into actually building out my studio and making these bigger movies with better production value, I think I'm just going to use this AI service and just forget all about all that.
So stupid.
Oh
He
no!
actually said that. You can look it up.
Yikes.
I believe
It's
it.
insane,
I believe
dude.
it. He was saying stupid shit.
People like that will fall and die in this business.
Can the film
People
community cancel Tyler Perry now?
Please,
Dude,
please.
he's a horrible filmmaker. I'm not just saying that because I don't like Medea. Because I'm sure Tyler Perry's a nice guy, but
Yeah.
God, he sucks at making fucking movies.
Oh no, I've heard some bad things from sets of his stuff, so I'm not entirely sold on that one.
I'm not gonna say anything, but
I lost respect for him whenever he did. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was him and Kenneth Copeland. Not to get into that
I'm not sure
conversation.
about I didn't hear about
Yeah.
that. But
And Matt, you wanna check the percentage on the recording?
It's good.
Okay, that's
I was
good.
at 90%.
Okay.
nice.
Okay. But yeah, I was looking at Matthew and I was speechless. I didn't say a word until when we got in the car, and then that's what I said to him, that I'm done. And the only movie that also made me speechless was Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
Like, I swear, it was absolutely
Another
just
part 2.
it was insane. I couldn't believe how incredible this movie was. Like, I knew it was going to be great, but I was just like, oh my gosh, man! Like, you're not only like you already are not just the next great director, but he just keeps getting on top of his game. And I'm going to go on a rant. If this does not get nominated for Best Picture or any other visuals,
it will.
The first one got nominated for Best Picture.
Yeah,
The
heck,
first one
it
was
better win for Best Picture.
It could.
It better.
Honestly, at this
if it
point.
doesn't,
Potential.
I'm going on a rant for that. I
Well,
swear.
You all, I don't know if you remember. I mean, a lot of people compare this to the Lord of the Rings. You know, Lord of the Rings was a Oscar favorite when they came out.
Right,
Return
yeah.
of the King won Best Picture and
Yeah.
cleaned up at the Oscars.
Right.
I feel like this movie has the potential to win all that shit.
This
Uh,
might-
It freaking
Yeah.
better.
This might be like Oppenheimer last year and get 11 Oscar nominations.
Yeah, it should.
I think the last
And
one got
Dune,
9.
Yeah, Dune Part 1 got a ton of Oscar love. It was definitely not ignored.
Yeah, I
No,
think
no.
the first one got 9 nominations and 6 wins.
Yeah.
Deserved.
Obviously, this is going to win Best Visual Effects.
It has to.
Oh, yeah.
The cinematography in this, I mean, Denis Villeneuve has worked with some of the best cinematographers working today because, worked with Roger Deakins on Blade Runner, Prisoners, all that.
The cinematographer who did this also did the Batman.
Yeah, Greg
And Rogue One.
Greg Fraser, he should be up there with Roger Deakins as the best cinematographer working.
And Hoyt Van Interstellar dude.
Yeah, those three. I think those three all should be in the same playing field. Greg Fraser has impressed me so much. I mean, he's shot Rogue One and of course the Batman and
I want to
both
rewatch
those
Let
two
Me In.
movies. Yeah, this dude is really. I mean, he's shown. The Batman looked incredible. Dune, of course, looked incredible. This is on a whole another level of
Yeah.
cinematography with
Yeah,
this.
no, absolutely.
That black and white scene. Like, I was just thinking, dude, how do you keep doing this? Like,
Yeah,
this is not fair. And Austin Butler, that was an unbelievable performance as playing as the villain. He was so scary to look at. Like, okay, that is not Elvis. That is another character that you're doing, dude.
I never once looked at him in this movie and ever, had even his voice. I was like, because obviously we don't hear him talk until like halfway through the movie,
Right.
so I'm just
Right.
waiting. And when he first opens his mouth, I was like, oh, what's he gonna sound like? What's he gonna sound?
You're just
like?
waiting here. Thank you very much.
Exactly.
Yeah, and
No.
Matthew told me in my ear, that's the guy who played Elvis. I was like, okay, this is interesting. And then when he said that, I was just thinking, what? Dude, you are incredible. Like, I hope that's enough for him to get like supporting actor nomination. I hope it's enough because I love him as the villain. He was so good in this
I want
movie.
Rebecca Ferguson to get Best Supporting
Oh
Actress.
yeah,
Totally.
She did great.
and she was great in the first movie too.
This elevated to a whole
Yeah,
nother
oh
level.
No,
my God.
absolutely.
She creeped me out in so
Yes.
many scenes in this. Like, good God.
This is easily her best performance.
Yes, I would say so.
Either
yeah.
this I'd say either this or I love her in Doctor Sleep.
I've not seen that yet.
She's terrifying in Doctor Sleep as Rose the Hat.
Do you have Apple TV?
I do not.
If you get like a free trial or something, watch the show Silo. She's the lead actress
I've
in
heard
that.
a lot of great things about it.
Yeah, Silo was incredible.
I have a crush on Rebecca Ferguson. I'm not gonna
I
lie.
do too.
She's so goddamn gorgeous. Have you seen like what she was? One of her outfits and her makeup on one of the premieres of this.
Yeah.
Oh my god, dude.
But yeah, I mean, everything about the performance, I mean, everybody was just so great. Even the lead character was phenomenal.
Yeah, Timothy Chalamet did a lot better than
Yeah,
him.
that might be his best performance yet.
No,
Yes.
I'd say so. From what I've seen, at least.
I can't understand why people might not have liked Timothy for up until maybe this or Wonka, because he was. I've always loved him. I've always seen how great he was, even when some others didn't. And everyone was kind of like. Everyone was talking shit about that Wonka movie before it came out. Everyone was, but because everyone was like, "You're gonna put the Dune kid as that as the precursor to Gene Wilder? Are you kidding me?" And then people actually went to see it. And I was like, he actually can pull it off. He has incredible range, and I thought he was outstanding as Wonka.
I agree. He was great.
No, I still need to see it. I've heard good things about it.
The trailers turned a lot of people off from it. I think, but actually, when the movie came out, I think everyone was like, "Oh, this movie's actually great."
Well, I think it's actually about to come out on Max. So I've been kind of waiting for that.
It's still doing well in theaters, actually. It's
because Aquaman just hit Max.
I think it's the highest grossing movie in the Wonka franchise.
Oh yeah,
it probably is.
That's not a big surprise.
Yeah,
I mean, because Timothy. I thought he was great in the first movie, and I think that this movie and the story that they gave him in this, brought out more of those layers that were hidden in the first movie. And I think now that you guys have seen this movie and you guys we pretty much all agree that this movie is a masterpiece.
Yes, yeah.
That's what I was going to say.
100%.
Masterpiece.
Are you guys going to rewatch Dune Part 1 after seeing this?
Well, I mean, I literally just rewatched it.
I definitely would too. I definitely would.
I think now that you've seen this new one, I think you might, watching Part 1 again, whenever you see it again, watching them back to back, I think will enhance your opinion on the first one.
100%. I fully agree with that.
Seeing, the levels of complication in the character of Paul Atreides and, Rebecca Ferguson's character, Lady Jessica, and, even Chani, Zendaya's character, really, this movie just fleshed them out so much more in ways that you aren't expecting but feel earned also.
Sorry, I just wanted to interject for a second.
Go ahead.
We were talking about watching them back to back. I looked a little bit on Amazon a little earlier to see what the 1984 Dune 4K, which that's a thing.
I'm not surprised at that.
They also re-released it before this came out in theaters.
Yeah, they did.
I don't know. I didn't see it in theaters. I don't know how good that would look.
I was considering it. I was like, this should be my first experience.
I mean, maybe it might enhance mine too, but still don't like it.
I was just going to say, the pre-orders for Dune Part 2 are up right now, but you can also pre-order a 2-pack of Part 1 and Part 2 on 4K. Yep. I might end up doing that. I'm going to see. I'm going to look more into detail, see if they've set up like a streamed line way to watch it. Because I'll sit down and watch a 6-hour movie as long as I'm entertained.
I don't think it would all fit on one disc.
I don't think it would, because that was one of the limitations with Way of Water, was like how well they could do on a 4K disc, and that's the reason why it took so long.
The Snyder Cuts on 2 discs.
Did they split up Avatar: Way of Water in 2 discs?
No, it's all in one. It's just it took them a long time to figure out a way to do that, because there was just so much going on with that film. They couldn't really find a way to make it work at home. Because they don't want to, they could have made it fit, but they would have had to like really downplay the movie itself and water it down a little bit.
Yeah,
they really didn't want to have that have to find that kind of compromise.
Water
it still looks amazing. That's how I
I
watched
saw Avatar: Weight of Water twice in that giant State Museum theater when that came out, because they played in the high frame rate, which did fuck with my eyes a lot afterwards because I not only am I seeing this in 3D, but they're going back and forth between the 24 frames per second, which is the normal, frame rate for movies.
Yeah.
And also, like, into the next shot, like, a super fast frame rate, 120. Like,
Yeah.
it goes back. Like, I get headaches, and
That would have given me a migraine.
Yeah,
I mean,
would not.
I think it was worth it because it looked spectacular. I think if there's a way for James Cameron, because I know how, because I have a camera like a Blackmagic, I know, and having shot so many things, I know how heavy high frame rate video is. How heavy, like, the data storage it would take to store all that high frame rate footage. I'm sure James Cameron will find a way to just shoot all of the rest of the Avatar sequels in that high frame rate, just so it's not like people like us, which, that will fuck with their eyes and their head.
Yeah.
I just wish, I think James Cameron is innovative enough. He's brilliant enough. I think he can find a way to just find a way to condense an entire, like, let's say Avatar 3 is like 4 hours.
Yeah.
I'm sure he'll find a way to condense 120 frames per second of that entire movie in a way that won't destroy and set fire to the projector.
Yeah. Do you have any other thoughts, John, or should I?
It's just one of the greatest movie experiences I had. It was
Same for me.
so good. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to watch it again.
Yep.
Definitely a day one Blu-ray purchase for me.
Yeah.
Totally.
Okay.
I'm gonna pre-order as we're done recording.
Cinematography was great. Definite standout of the movie. I really like the Harkonnen trooper outfits.
Yeah.
They look terrifying.
Yeah.
Like, that put... Dylan, I know you love Star Wars. Those put stormtrooper outfits to shame. Like, that looks terrifying.
Actually, I had an immediate thought of what that was to me. They're not a 1-for-1 because the Jadoon are a little different. But I'm a Doctor Who fan.
Yeah.
And there's a race of like amazing warriors / hunters called the Jadoon. I'm pretty sure. They're like rhinoceros people, but they have like the same bulk. They have the same like armor kind of plating. It's Doctor Who logic.
Yeah.
But it's the same kind of profile. It's the same kind of overall design. The only really difference is that it was like the Jadoon have like a very hard plate helmet. Meanwhile, the Harkonnens had this really nice, sleek glass panel that where it was. I liked it. I think that it really played into the style.
I don't know if it was the color grade with like the sand, but like those suits look terrifying.
Yeah,
Like it looked very threatening. Acting was great. I definitely think Rebecca Ferguson deserves Best Supporting Actress. I really hope this does win Best Picture, because I believe it will be the first sci-fi movie to ever win Best Picture.
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
And it shows, like, because a lot of genre films are not recognized at the Oscars.
I think that's changing.
It is.
Especially recently.
And by genre, I don't just mean sci-fi. I mean, like, sci-fi, horror, and superhero.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's definitely changing up a little bit.
Let's see Terrifier 3 get nominated.
Man, that'd be
please, for the love of
crazy.
God.
That'd be crazy. I don't think it'll happen, but
No. I mean, the fact that Terrifier 2 already qualified and they had to sit through it, that was satisfying enough.
I think the last horror movie to even get nominated for anything was Get Out.
yeah, it was Get Out.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
Which I love Get Out.
Yes,
I really do.
No.
Hereditary should have been fucking nominated for 15 of those fucking categories. I'm just... Academy, you fucked up with that. Hereditary. Seriously.
I'm trying to think of anything else, because everything's been said. Like, we've had a really productive conversation about
I'm
this.
very curious as to what your hot take of this is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tease me with it the other night.
I've been excited for this one.
Let's hear it.
Yeah, I don't think I really have anything else to say except for the hot take. Like, everything else has been said. Yeah, it's an incredible movie. The hot take. So,
Proceed.
I need to watch it repeatedly. Well, not repeatedly. I need to watch it a few more times upon repeat watches. It might beat out Man of Steel at number 3, Dark Knight at number 2, and Wonder Woman at number 1.
Oh my
Really?
gosh!
It might pass Wonder Woman as my favorite movie of all time.
Really?
That would be a huge
Oh,
upset.
I know
Holy
you
shit.
love that movie.
Man.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't be Dune Part 2. It would be, I'm counting it as one long movie.
Yeah, no, the entire conjunction piece.
Yes.
Holy mackerel, Matthew!
Yeah.
Wow,
Oh my
that
God.
that's like Crash winning Best Picture over Brokeback Mountain. At least that's what I heard. It was a huge upset. That's what I heard. I had never seen any of those two
Yeah.
movies,
That
but
was
but
one of the
they're-
most bullshit moments of Oscar history ever.
we're gonna have to do an Oscar rant part 2 or something like that.
I want to re-record last week's episode that we canceled,
um,
or 2 weeks ago that we canceled.
If this won't happen, I'm sure it won't. But next week when they have the Oscars, because I really liked most of pretty much all the nominees for Best Picture. I think it's a really solid list. The only one I liked. I don't know if you guys saw this Maestro, the Bradley Cooper.
Oh
one.
yeah,
Definitely
I
heard
haven't
of it.
seen it, but I've gotten pretty good
It-
recommendations about it.
It's not great, but I think it's good. I think it's a good movie. I just don't think it's great.
Yeah, that seems to be consensus.
If that was to beat out Oppenheimer for Best Picture,
Or Killers of the Flower Moon.
No way. No way.
that would be
Yeah,
bullshit.
Yeah, I
It
was.
won't happen.
I would say this real quickly, and I already said it in my Oscar predictions. And I'm pretty sure fans will be upset about the whole Barbie thing. I just don't think it was Best Picture material. I'm sorry. I personally think that Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse is better. I thought Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning was better
I was
than that
stunned.
movie.
I was stunned when Across the Spider-Verse didn't get nominated for Best
Yeah.
Yeah, I was mad. I was just like, you gotta be kidding me, Academy.
I genuinely thought, because only a handful of animated movies have been nominated for Best Picture.
Yeah.
I think the 3 are Beauty and the Beast, Up, and Toy Story 3.
Yep, those are the only 3 animated
I
films.
honestly did think that Across the Spider-Verse was good enough. I think it should have been the 4th one, but
That reminds me, John.
it's gonna win Best Animated.
Yeah.
It has to.
How can you nominate Barbie for Best Picture and you don't nominate that director for Barbie?
Oh,
That is
or
so
fucking-
weird.
That's
or
what
you
pissed me off
nominate
about it.
Ryan Gosling and not nominate Margot Robbie.
Right.
That
They
is
missed the
so
whole point of
Fuck
the
off
movie.
with that.
Bullshit.
Good
man.
night.
I do have a hot take for you, John, that will piss you off.
No. We don't need another of those. I don't need another one.
Paul, don't fuck with them.
No, please
Not
don't.
right now.
I'll save it for after the podcast.
Yeah, wait for off the air.
I'd rather not want to hear it at all. I just want to go silently and say we all agree that we all love this movie and not hear any more hot takes.
Yeah, definite 5 out of 5. Like, if it could go higher, I would.
Yeah, this is a 5 out of 5. I think this is gonna end up being one of the not just best movies of the year, if not the best movie of the year. It will definitely.
Highlight of the decade.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
it's-
this is gonna be like, last year we had something like Mad Max Fury Road, which I considered to be like, in terms of like sci-fi or action movie, I think that was like the highlight of the previous decade. I think this movie, we'll see. Dune 3, man.
It's got to be huge.
How much higher can they get?
Yeah.
Exactly.
I think they can really take this all the way to the moon.
Yeah.
Which I forgot to
It'll be
mention, my
insane.
most anticipated films of the year, like, they're screwed. Like, they are so screwed.
have-
The movies I'm excited for.
Yeah. This movie was just outstanding in every way. This is going to be the movie that you absolutely have to see in a theater this year. Don't wait for this. Don't wait for this to come out at home. Don't wait for this to just stream this.
See it on the biggest screen
See
possible.
see it on the biggest screen with the best sound.
Yeah, as enhanced as possible.
Yeah.
It really is worth it.
Yeah, definitely do the theatrical experience. And when it does come to home, make sure to get the disc. Don't do streaming. Discs are better quality.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, fuck digital only.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The one thing we didn't talk about, and we'll get to your guys' final grades.
Sure.
Christopher Walken, just being
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
fucking goat, man.
Yeah. No.
Just
Dadgummit, I forgot. We forgot to talk about
he's
him.
Great.
Crap.
I feel-
He's great in this movie. He's not. He's obviously not this the standard Walken. He's one of the celebrities that whenever he's brought into conversation, I always gotta bring my Walken into it. That was one of my worst takes on Walken. I can usually do better than that.
One of the better ones that I've heard.
Ladies and gentlemen, Foo Fighters.
I actually like that. That's good.
I mean, everyone does that. Foo Fighters.
I'm not even going to try.
No, Christopher Walken is just a gem in general, and he's not in the movie that much.
No, it's
but
very sparingly.
His presence is definitely felt, especially in the ending.
Yeah.
He has a great scene with Timothy at the end. Your father was a weak man.
I felt like that ending was so powerful.
Yeah,
After
with
the fight.
Zendaya walking off, and the way with the abrupt cut to the credits, that was just insane.
It was.
with what they ended.
That got us more excited for part 3.
Oh my god, dude!
Well, I mean, it felt like a to be continued. Is how they left
it
it
is.
off.
It did.
Yeah, well, I mean, we all know that it's going to be continued. It's
Right.
happening. It's confirmed and all that. It's just it was a good send off without deliberately saying to be continued the way that they did with part 1.
Apparently, 3 might be even more shocking than part 2.
It probably will be.
From what I've heard,
Yeah.
I haven't read Messiah, but I've definitely know some details about from readers people that I know who've read it. It is going to be insane.
Well, I just read something about. I guess the script is finished.
Yeah.
Denis walked into Hans Zimmer's office, didn't say a word, just laid the script down and walked out.
Hans Zimmer just.
I'll take it.
Oh shoot! I forgot to talk about Hans Zimmer's score. It's phenomenal.
I mean,
I loved it.
It's
It's Hans Zimmer.
Yeah.
exactly. He's the goat, guys. He
This
is
was
the
his best
composer
score.
goat.
I can't. Interstellar's my favorite Hans Zimmer score.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of Interstellar.
Really?
Yeah, he's not.
Man,
I'm not.
I mean, but that goddamn organ though that he had.
church organ?
Yeah.
Hans Zimmer is my favorite composer.
Yes.
I love John Williams too. Absolutely, yeah, you can't.
He
talk
is
about
great
film
too.
code.
Yes.
But personal taste, Hans Zimmer is my favorite.
Yeah.
His. I mean, it's pretty much the score from the first one with a few new additions. But I mean, the score is just fucking phenomenal in both of these.
Hans Zimmer's been my favorite director since I was a kid. My
Director?
favorite
Composer.
Composer.
I don't know why I said director.
Yeah.
Pretty sure-
You got the soundtrack of Hans Zimmer live.
Yeah, well, I have that, but my favorite movie growing up was The Lion King. Hated that. The Dark Knight, and now Dune. Like every part of my life, he's been a major part.
I'm glad.
He's done the music for movies that you wouldn't even assume he'd be a part of.
Right.
Yeah. If there's a DVD of Hans Zimmer live, I want to buy it.
He also did the music for Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
I personally love that movie.
I think it's good.
I don't
It's
like.
just-
I don't like the movie. But I actually do like Hans Zimmer's music.
The score is sick.
The score is good for that, and it just comparing Hans Zimmer has such a unique range. I mean, yes, you have a lot of people associate Hans Zimmer with this kind of music, the bombastic, the huge,
The huge percussion.
Inception, boom. But Hans Zimmer has such, great range. He's not just great at, these big epic movies. He's also great with, smaller movies, even like he did the music for Rain Man. That was one of his first shots at film composing. So
Which was part of that was actually filmed here in Indiana.
yeah. 5 out of 10. 5 out of 10.
wow, pretty low.
No.
Mid.
5 out of 5. Not as good as Madam Web, but close.
Amen.
Let's go.
Oh, that's
Man,
funny.
you guys should have had me on your talk for Madam Web. I still have
that
not
uploaded?
talked enough shit about that movie.
Oh god. But yeah, 10 is not enough for me. I want to give this movie score higher than 10 for Dune Part 2.
Go out of
It is that
100.
phenomenal, huh?
Go out of 100.
You know what?
5 out of 100.
Uh,
5%.
Yeah.
Say-
Okay. Yeah. You know what?
Not
But you know
as
what?
good as Pluto Nash, but
Yeah. You know what? Screw it. 100 out of 100. I'll do it. I love that movie that much. I mean, Dune Part 2 is so good. Like, I'm giving it 100 now. Like, I can even get 100 out of 10 if I wanted to. That's how much I love this movie. So
You're
there you
keeping it
go.
100.
Shut up, Matthew.
Finish it.
All right, anyway, Dylan, go ahead.
Speaking of things that we never talked about, we also never talked about Florence Pugh.
We
haven't mentioned her
she's
once.
Great in this. Just that, and she's another person who's not in it long is Lea Seydoux.
Yes.
That one scene, man, with her and Austin Butler. I was feeling things.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, that was one of the most seductive things I've seen in a movie in a long time. And
She was my favorite part of Spectre.
And just the next time you see her, just instantly like, I already bear his seed. Or
Yeah,
something like that.
seed captured. Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. No, Florence Pugh, like Walken, she's not in the movie like a ton, but she does have a great presence, and the movie actually does open with her, and she's also a way to deliver exposition, but deliver exposition in a good way.
Yeah.
But yeah, she and obviously the ending where he chooses her over Chani.
Anya Taylor-Joy's in the movie.
Yeah, that was.
That shocked the shit out of me. I hadn't heard anything about her being part of it.
It was already bouncing around for a long time that she was in it, and she was already at premieres. I was just curious how, and it turns out that the line she has in the movie is actually in the trailer. When she says, "You are not prepared for what is to come."
Yeah.
And I'm really curious to see who she is, because she just pops up in a.
She's the
Paul's
sister.
daughter, yeah. Or not daughter, sister.
Oh.
The unborn sister.
Done.
Right.
Yeah, it's just her grown
Right,
up.
Okay. That makes sense.
The other thing I forgot to mention was Denis is quickly becoming my second favorite director behind Nolan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I've been. I think now everyone is saying Villeneuve is one of the best directors. I've been saying that since fucking Blade Runner.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Spielberg.
finally, it took this movie to finally make everyone realize it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Sorry about that.
Let's go.
Spielberg, still number one, my favorite director. Christopher Nolan too. But the more I watch of his movies, he'll probably bump up to 3. That's how much I love directing. What's your score?
I mean, I wasn't done talking about Florence Pugh.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. No, I think that it's going to affect. I know nothing about Messiah. Like I know like a general like Paul is going down a darker path, and it's kind of obvious to assume where it goes after where we left off from part 2.
The Holy War that they build up.
Well, we know he went down a dark path. He's the harvester.
Shut the fuck up,
God,
Paul. I saw that look.
you!
I didn't. I was purposefully ignoring that look.
I'll throw you down the pit of Mount Doom.
I'll throw you in your bathroom shower.
No, I.
Forged in the fires of hell. This is you.
Anyways,
My uneducated opinion, based solely off part 1 and part 2, I think that Paul's going to die in Messiah. I think that it's going to be because he ends up seeing what he's become. Mm-hmm. I think that it's going to be Chani who changes him because he's going to follow in the same steps of his father, which is to have love above all else. Like, trust your heart.
Yep.
I think that that's what it's going to lead to. I think that's where we're going. I think that's what's going to happen in Messiah. But again, uneducated, I could be completely off base.
Well,
I also second that. I do think there will be a lot of tragedy. There's going to be tragedy in Messiah.
Yeah.
I think that's someone who also knows very little about Messiah. There's going to be some real tragic shit that happens in it for sure.
I believe he does die, and then like someone's pregnant at the end because the next book's
Probably,
children.
yeah.
A large portion of Messiah will definitely be about who carries on after
Yes.
Paul dies.
Yeah, I think it's going to be an Atreides. I think that's what it's going to be. It's just, is it going to be the sister?
Right. Well,
Because Anya Taylor-Joy is going to play a major role.
Yes, absolutely.
you don't have her and then not have her in the major role.
Yep.
I guess from a rating, I already did it on Letterboxd right before we started recording. 5 out of 5, abso-fucking-lutely.
Yes.
Holy shit!
Yes.
I cannot give this movie a great enough rating. Like if we want to talk hot takes, when we're looking at modern media and kind of abandoning like the adjustion for when movies came out in the 70s and 80s and everything, when we take that out, this beats out every single Star Wars movie. In terms of being a good film, in terms of being a masterpiece, this beats out every single movie that we've gotten. And I'm a huge Star Wars nerd. I love I love Star Wars movies more than Dune, obviously.
Star Wars, I think, and even George Lucas will say this: those were movies made for fucking 10-year-olds.
Yeah,
and that's awesome. That's fine. And Star Wars, Dune is the originator for so much of the sci-fi.
Yeah.
Star Wars.
Star Wars was inspired by Dune, actually.
Dune was.
Yeah.
Frank Herbert is the author.
Yeah.
That he was George Lucas before George Lucas.
Yeah.
You can't even deny that without being ignorant. But yeah.
Yeah, I know that there's a lot of Star Wars nerds out there that are going to be like, oh, it's not. No, it is. Factually, it is. I'm sorry. I fucking love Star Wars. I'll defend Star Wars to the end of the earth, but man, Part 2 blows it out of the fucking water. And combining Part 1 and Part 2? No fucking chance. I'm sorry, you can't combine anything of Star Wars, not even the entire Skywalker saga, and it compared to this. It's fucking
It
amazing.
might be. I might love this more than Star Wars: The Force Awakens, and I love it that much.
I think this beats out every Star Wars movie
And Star Trek.
Yeah.
I won't say that about Star Trek because I feel like that's a different venue than something like this.
Sure.
But,
Yeah, this is more fantasy.
yeah,
Star Trek is more science.
Yeah. I think this beats out every Star Wars movie. I mean, I won't. Like I said, I'm not gonna say whether this is like better than, but I will say this is at least on par or better than, is on par with or better than Empire Strikes Back and New Hope. Those are
I mean, that's why I was saying without like adjusting for something that was then, because Empire, as good as a movie as it still is, it's a classic, it's iconic. The production quality was limited at the time. I think that if we would have gotten Empire today, it could still be really, really fucking good. Mm-hmm. But that's why I said not to adjust for it, because I just, in terms of overall quality and production and all that,
Dune is without a doubt.
This really fucking brought it.
It's a new era and it's a new benchmark.
Yeah.
In terms of modern media, it's just leagues ahead of a lot of what we've been getting.
I forgot to say earlier, next week we are doing a special live stream of the Oscars. Some people don't really care for the Oscars that much. I've seen people say it's boring. Hopefully,
except when Will Smith is getting...
We're not going to get to that.
Shit, yeah.
We're not going to get to that. I was going to say one more quick thing, too, about Dune Part 2, which we're not going to talk about this. But Screen Rant made a post that says, 11 book details Dune 2 gets wrong that David Lynch's 1984 movie got right. We're not going to get to that.
It's an adaptation. It's allowed to change things.
Because I was like, no.
But yeah.
Because I know a few people who have a fond place in their heart for the 1984 one, and that's totally cool.
Including Steve, right?
And a lot of people in that, older people than us, probably grew up with it and have that appreciation for it. You can't tell me that movie is better than these two. Like
No, you can't.
Objectively, you cannot tell me that movie is better than this. Like,
one of John and I's coworker said 84 is better than Part 1.
No.
He's stuck in the 80s.
I haven't even fucking seen it, and no, he's wrong.
Yeah.
You can tell him that I said he's wrong. No.
I told him he was wrong.
Good.
I'll tell you why, because not just the visual effects. I feel like that the 1980s was not ready to adapt something like Dune.
Right.
Yes.
You can do that much easier, and you can actually do that now with the technology we have. In 1984, I just don't think it was possible to do it well.
Not just that, they weren't ready for something as philosophical as Dune either.
Yeah. No. And they didn't. I was the night right before I went to see part 2 at the early screening, I was at a friend's house and they actually had that movie on, and then we caught a bit of it, and it's like they treated Dune in that 1984 movie like it was another Star Wars or it was Flash Gordon, and it's not.
No,
This Dune is not Star Wars. It's much more, about that. It's much more about, it feels like, and I feel like these two movies have delved into that much more. It's almost like a science fiction space opera Shakespeare story,
Okay.
about, tragic, leaders and, falls from grace and all that,
like with Star Wars, like the Chosen One is an aspect, but I really feel like Dune fully goes into it, and it's about the dangers of weaponizing faith.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. That's the point of Dune. Star Wars is, yes, it has a lot of deeper meanings to it, of course, but at its core, it's not about anything like that. It's basically just good versus evil, and that's totally fine. But it's not nearly on the level of adult storytelling like Dune.
Right, Dune's way more intricate and philosophical.
Yeah.
Star Wars is just about family.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah. But
Fast and
man,
Furious.
but yeah, but the two franchises that I cannot wait to see more of. I can't wait to see more animated Spider-Man stuff. I can't wait for more Dune stuff.
Yep.
Man, I'm so pumped.
And
It's gonna be good.
a lot of people, and someone actually brought this up to me, with all the recent, I'll just say it, failings, and not everything has been failings, but of Star Wars and Marvel, not doing so well at the moment with their various projects. A lot of people have been wondering what's going to take on the mantle, because for so long it was Star Wars and Marvel in the previous years that have really been the topic of discussion in film, and I feel like Avatar, and I know people love to talk shit about the Avatar movies, and they have flaws, they absolutely do in terms of the story, but after how well Avatar: The Way of Water did, and everyone, I mean fucking everyone was talking shit about Way of Water, it was like no one cares about Avatar, that movie that made $3 billion
That was really disingenuous.
and Avatar has no cultural footprint. That was the thing that everyone said about. After the movie comes out, nearly makes more than $2 billion.
Yeah.
Like, you can't tell me that is true anymore. People will go to Avatar, for that level of spectacle, because James Cameron really puts his damnedest into impressing an audience. I feel like the two franchises that will take the mantle of Star Wars and Marvel, after their time, I think is pretty much gonna, come. I think every franchise does. I think Dune and Avatar are gonna take that place.
I definitely don't think Marvel's going to end, but I do feel it's going to dwindle in popularity.
Yeah, it's not gonna be Infinity War or Endgame
Ever again. No.
Those two were the peak. You cannot reach that again. I'm sorry, Secret Wars. I mean, it's gonna be big, sure, but
They really have to change up their slate if they want to achieve
that
that.
level of. People got so emotional
Mm-hmm.
in Infinity War and Endgame. People were on their damn knees for those two movies.
Yes.
You're not gonna have that. I don't feel you're not gonna have that level of care again.
The only movie that was on that level after that was No Way Home.
But you already had that for the previous Spider-Man movies.
Right.
That was what it was really about.
Right, that was the nostalgia.
It wasn't about the MCU. It was about all the Spider-Man movies.
Right.
Yeah.
That was at that level.
Yeah.
But the only good quality, top-notch quality since then have been Guardians 3, Shang-Chi,
And that was that Guardians 3 was, that was
the ending.
saying goodbye
Yeah.
to the Guardians that we know, that we've gotten so close to.
The only other ones were Shang-Chi and Wakanda Forever.
Yeah. And we haven't even fucking seen Shang-Chi or heard anything about him in 3 years.
Yeah.
We're supposed to be getting a sequel before the next Avengers movie, but that's all we really know.
No one's talking about it.
No one.
And I feel like that's one of the best MCU movies.
Yeah.
Like recently, I think it has some problems, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. Why aren't they leaning more into that?
Yeah.
You know?
But yeah, like I was saying, we live streaming the Oscars next week, so hopefully you guys will enjoy our reactions.
Yep. I might be joining you guys. I'll just have to, because every year, the Oscars it's a family event for me, or with friends and stuff. But depending on what I do, I might be around for that.
Okay, cool.
It'll be fun.
All right.
So yeah.
We thank you guys for joining this episode. We will see you back next week.
Take care.
And go see Dune Part 2, please.
Oh, Dylan forgot something.
I was going to say, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, leave your feedback. Make sure to rate us everywhere. If you aren't watching our regular episodes, please check out our regular episodes as well, because I think that we're going to get more Dune lovers than concurrent fans on this episode.
We hope so.
Please make sure to check us out everywhere. If you haven't watched our content before now, it's rocky up to this point, but there are changes that are being made. Again, check out the video that's currently on our YouTube channel. Only on our YouTube channel.
Yes. Thank you and have a good night.
Thank you.
God bless you. See ya.
We have been the Cinema Asylum Podcast. You guys were awesome. Thanks for coming out. Good night.